Hello everybody! Welcome back to another episode of the Boss Ravioli Queens, your three favorite caregivers, Boss Lady Amy,
Nicole Ravioli,
and Jasmine the Queen.
So, before we get into today's episode, which is going to be a little bit of a tough one, being that it is September, we're going to do our shameless plug real quick. Ding! If you don't know who we are, hi, hello, we're the Boss Ravioli Queens. We are three caregivers who have a lot of experience in the healthcare and caregiving world.
Are we?
I think so. I mean, last time I checked, I don't know. That's what people tell me. Anyway.
I just work here.
You can go, same. You can go and find us on YouTube and you can watch our previous episodes. You can also listen to our previous episodes anywhere you listen to podcasts other than Apple because we're poor. We've been told we're funny, I think, educational.
I think.
Pretty sure. And, yeah, that's about it. So, shameless plug, over. Welcome to today's episode, the purple and yellow ribbons. So, the purple is National Recovery Month, and then the yellow is National Childhood Cancer Month. We did also do a episode on the other thing that September is known for, which is sewer slide.
$ suicide.
Yep.
Boy $.
Prevention. So go take a listen to that episode. It's pretty heavy. This one's also pretty heavy. But it really needs to be talked about. So that's why we're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally don't really have any experience with childhood cancer. Thank goodness. I've been very, very fortunate to not know anybody in that boat. I went to high school with a couple people that were dealing with childhood cancer, but I wasn't close to them. I didn't know them really at all, other than had to attend a couple benefits while I was in high school. That was pretty much it. So that's my little 2 cents.
Yeah, I don't either. Don't really have too much experience with it. I have thought about working in cancer center for like kids before, but never did.
I could
not.
never.
I think it'd be kind of hard. I mean, they need you regardless, but like I feel like it's so unfair for kids. Like you get it as an adult, I feel like it's different. I mean, it's still really sad and it sucks, but as a kid, that your life didn't even start, and it's like feeling like it's almost over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I could never.
Yeah, childhood cancer is one of the things that I don't think I will ever understand as to why it's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
I guess y'all figure out why I was making that face when Boss Lady Amy was talking. I'm the lucky one out of the group. Yeah. So, I went to church with a family whose son, when he was like 16, 17, got diagnosed with osteosarcoma, which is bone cancer, in his femur and shin and knee, basically, like it was his whole leg. Was taken up by bone cancer. I was friends with his little brother because he was in my grade, so watching him go through that was something. Like, obviously they weren't in church some weeks because they were at a treatment center somewhere. And what do? I mean, I could be there for, like, support, but since it was a male friend, he didn't really open up all that much to me about it, understandably so, but yeah, it was not good.
Yeah, I haven't noticed that most people that have cancer don't really want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it was his brother, not him that had cancer. The older brother was the one that had
I feel
cancer.
like it's the whole family that doesn't want to talk about it, honestly.
I don't know, I guess to me, like, because everybody knows that my grandpa had cancer, like, I talked about that way long time ago in my personal episode, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we would go with my grandpa to his chemo appointments and play Uno and, like, all this stuff. And for the most part, though, like, cancer is just, like, a dirty word. Like, you don't want to talk about it, but at the same time, once it gets to a certain point, I feel like it helps the healing process
You have to.
for everybody as a whole, even if
Right.
the person doesn't make it, you know?
You have to acknowledge that elephant in the room, because, like, if that person really is passing from cancer, like, you have to talk about it.
Right.
You
and
have
then
to.
I also feel like people don't want to say it because then it makes it real.
Yeah, that's true.
But it is real, and that's the problem.
Right.
Yeah. You go through that denial period first.
It's literally an entire grieving process before the person, like, even if they make it, they make it. If they don't, they don't. But, like, you go through all of those emotions twice.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if, like, you go through that point where you're, like, in remission or whatever, and they think, oh, like, I might actually make it, and then it, like,
Comes back.
flips again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very hard. I don't like it. No bueno. 10 out of 10 would not recommend.
No Picasso.
So I think that's all we have to cover about the cancer portion, so we can go into Recovery Awareness Month.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
Well, I think out of the three of us, I probably have the most experience with that.
Props.
And then you're probably next.
Probably.
Yeah, so, I don't even know where to begin. It's a, yeah. So, I, have been around people with addiction literally my entire life. Mostly alcoholics.
Me too.
Right.
Well, mine was both. But...
Right. So when I was younger, my uncle was a really severe alcoholic that definitely put a damper on some family holiday parties. And then my other uncle passed away of cirrhosis of the liver from alcohol poison, or not alcohol poisoning, but alcohol addiction, liver failure. He got the diagnosis, and within 6 weeks he was gone. And then my husband's grandfather is a recovered alcoholic. And then obviously the biggest one that I went through is my father-in-law, my husband's dad, passed away a couple of years ago from alcoholism. He had been in active addiction for like over 10 years. And he had gone to rehab many, many, many times. And he never successfully completed the program, not once. He would either leave early or he would like finish and then he would start drinking a couple days later, or he would like get sober himself and then he would just like go on a drinking binge and then just like totally throw out his sobriety. So fun fact, he's actually a tree now. Since we have dark humor, we talked about that on previous episodes. My husband and I use that to cope. So sometimes we tell dead dad jokes.
Oh my god.
But yeah, he's a tree. So his big thing was when he was alive, he screwed everything up and he felt like he never got anything good to come of him or grow from him when he was alive. And his one thing in life was that he wanted something to grow from him. He wanted to be made into something bigger than himself. So
He's got things growing on him and in him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he did his research and he found one of those
It's like the tree pod.
like the
things.
tree pod, like biochemical whatever thing.
I honestly think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So his it took a really long time to get his ashes back. So after we had the ceremony or the memorial, the funeral home sends off the ashes, and then they get them, like, chemically altered or whatever, because, you have to make sure that they're, like, organically correct or whatever, because in their raw state, ashes will kill a tree, they'll kill plants.
Mm-hmm.
So they get them, like, interned or whatever, and then they mix them into, like, this big pod thing, and then eventually, they, like, transplant a little tree sapling in it, and then we have, like, a little groundbreaking
Stick a
ceremony.
seed in you.
Yeah. And so he's buried in his, parents, so my husband's grandparents' front yard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my experience is mostly my parents. My mom's still kind of there. She's better than she was, but still not great, honestly. She has been to rehab a few times in the past, but now she just kind of, like, sits at home. Still does it. Tries to gaslight you that she doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was mostly alcohol. My mom was both alcohol and drugs. So most of hers were, like, prescription to start with, and then it, like, kind of teared off from there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, dealt with that most of my life. Grandparents had to pick me up sometimes when my mom couldn't handle anything. So I don't know. It is bad. It's better now, obviously, since I don't have to deal with it all the time because I'm an adult. But as a kid, it sucks.
Yeah. When I was in high school, there was times where, like, I literally had to go get, so my husband, he was my boyfriend at the time. We've been together for a really long time. I've talked about that in previous episodes. So there was lots of times where I would literally have to go pick him up because, like, his dad was too drunk to do that. And, like, I, like, myself and my parents had to, like, buy them groceries and, like...
I'm sorry. I don't know why my brain thought of that TikTok video where he's like, I'm here to pick up my son. I'll be back next week to pick him up again.
Oh my god.
I don't know why my brain did that.
Because it's your brain.
Because it's your brain, I don't know.
Literally popped in my head when you said pick up Matt.
It didn't say pick up.
Oh, whatever.
It's fine.
Whatever.
Everything's fine.
Yep, it's fine. Anyway.
As if they don't know who he is already.
That's, yeah. Anyway, so yeah. That was great. Definitely, it was interesting watching those formative years. Trying to, like, grow up and, like, be normal and have a life, and then also, like, watch your boyfriend, like, go through this really rocky relationship with his dad, and then, like, newlyweds, and then, like, your father-in-law passes away, and, like, that's a whole thing. Yeah.
Being introduced to the Shat Show.
Mm-hmm. So for me personally, I struggled with alcohol when I was going through my divorce, and then again a few years later when I was a bartender, obviously. I mean, where we live and how readily available it is. And, like, the fact that the owner didn't care as long as I was functional. Like,
Doing your job, yeah.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
even drunk, I could still run circles around that bar. Both of them. Anyways, I'm not proud of that. I'm not. But I also had friends that I graduated with that have passed due to addiction and brain work. So I think it was like 2 years after we graduated, I had someone who OD'd on Hermione Granger. That's the only thing I can come up with to make this even a little okay. So...
Hermione.
It's Leviosa.
Hermione.
Or it's,
Hermione.
it's not Leviosa.
Ron.
It's Leviosa. Dumbledore.
Okay,
Okay.
it's not funny.
Anyways.
Okay, nope, it's not. Stop. Nope. Okay.
Anyways, so she OD'd and it was at a party, and it was also after she had gotten out of recovery. She relapsed, and what we all assumed is that she thought that she could do the same amount that she used to do when she was in active addiction, like real heavy. And then the dumb effers at the party put more of a different thing into her that was also downer and not an upper, so it did no good whatsoever and just like made it completely worse. And then they dropped her off at the ER, and like as far as I know, it was like in the parking lot kind of thing. Like they dropped her at the front door and drove off. Yeah. She was already unalived at that point.
Why does it sound familiar? It sounds like I
You
knew
probably
her.
heard about it on the news, and she also graduated with me, so you might have known her too.
What? And she was older than me.
I feel like I remember this being a
And-
news story.
She might have. I think we might have worked at McDonald's together.
You did.
With her?
Yeah.
I did know her.
Mm-hmm.
I did know her, and I did know about that.
Yep. So...
Yeah, I was actually like, we were like pretty tight at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the guy,
The
who's-
fact that you know her too. Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. So the guy whose house it was that threw the party is the one that went down for everything. Like, he went to jail, prison, whatever.
Yo.
And, yeah. So that was great.
Yeah, I remember being really pissed about that.
Yeah. So, there was more than just her, but most of everybody else that I know has gotten out of their addiction, and, I don't think I've dealt with any more addict unalives.
I almost dealt with another friend, and her brother was a heavy addict, and it was awful. He started ODing at a party, and his sister found out about it by one of the guys were in the hospital with him, and they took a picture of his blue face and sent it to her on Snapchat, and that's how she found out that he OD'd.
Oh my god. Actually, I lied. There was another one, but that was later on in life. You also probably knew this one. Initials CW.
Probably. If you say the story, I might.
I don't know the full story
Oh.
because at that point we kind of fell off. Like, we weren't really talking anymore because he was in active addiction. So he also OD'd on the same thing, though.
It was bad.
Yeah.
Our high school years were bad with some drugs.
Well, this was after high school, but like
Yeah.
that town, dude.
Well, for me,
It's a
it
black
wasn't
hole.
after high school. It was.
Well, you were in high school, yeah. But no, for the second one, you would have been out of high school. You probably would have been like 22.
Probably
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
fun.
No. Nope.
It kind of like puts things into perspective, like a lot.
Mm.
And how easy it is to like fall off or get hooked or addicted to something.
Yeah, I'm really happy I never did anything like super addictive like that because I do have an addictive
Yeah, me
personality.
neither.
I do. So
We're aware.
stop. Stop it right now. I already called myself out. You don't need to do it for me. Just gonna hit the eens. Anyways, where were we going with this? Where were we going with this?
Off the side of a cliff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Valid.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't really have much else to say as far as like personal experience. I feel like it kind of sums it all up. Like, when
But if you feel like you have a problem, get help.
Yeah. And I guess that's the other thing that we really should talk about, actually, is people that aren't ready to get help,
Mm-hmm.
because you really can't make them.
And honestly,
If you send them to rehab and they're not wanting to recover for themselves,
they're not going
they're
to.
not going to.
Like,
And
yeah, they have
they
to
will
do
make
it for
it
themselves.
known one way or another, even if they're lying to themselves, even if they're saying that they will go or whatever, their actions are going to speak 1,000
Much
times
louder.
louder than words.
And you can't be like, do it for me, because
No.
they have to want to do it for themselves.
Mhm.
If they're doing it for somebody else, like let's say,
That's when they relapse.
well, let's say like Amy's an addict, okay, and we have
Why
this
not
really
you?
fine. I'm the addict, but we have this really heartfelt discussion, and Amy's like, please just get sober for me, like. I don't want to lose you. I go to rehab. Amy and I stop talking. And then I'm right back into it.
Mm-hmm.
Because Amy's not there anymore. I don't have anything that I want to recover for anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, addict logic is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't make any sense, but in their addict brains, it really does.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it alters your brain chemistry so much. Like, they literally can't help it. Like, it's just crazy.
Right. And when I say crazy, I don't mean like...
Cuckoo.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Not
like...
for Cocoa Puffs.
No. It's just, it's really hard for someone who's not an addict to understand.
It is very
like, the
hard.
logic behind the thought.
Mhm.
And if you're watching this, or if you're listening to this, and if you're in active addiction, get help for yourself, because there's no you or anybody else in your life without you.
Mm-hmm. And also, the help comes with therapy. I know people don't like to talk about that. It's very stigmatized. But the reason that you're doing it in the first place is to avoid feeling something. So
It's worth it.
It
It's
is.
worth it to save your own life.
Truth.
we will post the number again, because I did post the number on the sewer slide awareness video as well. But there's a 24/7, 365 a year helpline that you can call, and they can also help get you set up with a treatment center. Obviously, the call is free. The treatment center is something that you have to discuss with your insurance or lack thereof. Like, you would have to work it out with the facility, but generally they're willing to work with people. So I don't have anything. Anybody else have closing thoughts?
You can find us on YouTube, TikTok.
You can also email us, bossraviolyqueens
at
at
gmail.com.
gmail.com. Don't
You can
forget
also-
to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.
Also Facebook.
Yeah, that too.
Wait. I just want to say thank you to all of our listeners and our viewers. We wouldn't be able to do this without you, so thank you.
Bye.
Bye.